we're starting the CNC skillet, so before we do anything, we're going to check our orders. So we have orders for Valerie Jones. We're going to give Meperidine 5 mg IV push. So I'm going to go ahead and look that up in my drug book to make sure I know what I'm giving. So I have that pulled up here. It needs to be diluted, so it's less than equal to 10 milligrams per milliliter. 5 milligrams is a safe dose to give. We need to push this over 4 to 5 minutes. I'm gonna give it over 5 minutes. It is an opioid analgesic, and it is all right to be given. So I'm gonna look at the allergies. She has no known allergies. And also has the order on here to flush between medications and blood draws. So we're also gonna collect some blood while we're in the room, about 3.5 milliliters. That being said, we're ready to start. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my first check. So the medicine is Meperidine. It's the right medication. It's for Miss Jones. She doesn't have any allergies. The route is IV. It's as needed for pain. She needs it for her pain now, so we can give it now. And the medication should not be expired. So now we're going to unlock our med cart. And we are going to get our medication out. We're going to do our second check. It is not expired. It's Meperidine. Our dose is 5 milligrams. We have 5 milligrams here. And we're going to, it's in 2 milliliters, so we'll have to draw 2 milliliters of this with 3 milliliters of flush. PRN for pain, so she can have it now. The route's IV for Miss Jones. And it is not expired. All right, so now that we've done our first 2 checks there, we're gonna go ahead and get our medication ready. So I'm gonna do hand hygiene before I start working with medication. We've already looked up the meds, so I'm gonna get this book out of the way. So from Meperidine, we need to draw 2 mLs, and then we're going to draw 3 milliliters of flesh. So we have that here. And if this was a new vial, we wouldn't have to clean it. I'd clean it anyways, just for sterility. So I'm going to get that ready. So we pop that open. Get our syringe ready.
So the first thing I'm going to do is compare my order to my mom. We have an order for Valerie Jones. Her diagnosis is stress, seizure, respiratory, and allergies. Order for Meperidine 5 milligrams, IV push, PRN every 8 hours for pain. Every 8 hours, and as needed after the medication.
Now that we have our needle ready, we're going to attach. And we have already gotten our medicine ready, so we're just going to draw up 2 mLs of air. Cut off, wait for it to dry, let it air dry. After it dries, we are going to inject our air. And we're going to draw 2 milliliters of medication. Try and ensure all the air bubbles are out.
And it does, so I'm going to dilute that with 5 milliliters of pain and inject it with
After we get out our air bubbles and we have 2 milliliters, we're going to do our one-handed recap. And we're going to set this to the side, and we're gonna get our dilution ready. So we're gonna get out sodium chloride for this. We are going to get another alcohol swab. Get this clean. This is sodium chloride. We're going to use 3 milliliters, so it's well diluted. We're going to give the medication over 5 minutes. So we're going to get this syringe ready. So we have our new needle here. We'll screw it on. And now we need 3 milliliters of saline. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my air. That is clean. We're going to let it air dry. And now we are going to get our saline drawn. Get our air out. We have 3 milliliters of saline. And we are going to do our one-handed recap. So now we have to dilute. So we have our normal saline here and our medication here. So we're going to take our normal saline and draw back 2 milliliters of air.
Making sure that my order matches. Okay, so for this we need 5 milliliters.
A little bit extra just to push out some air bubbles. Make sure we can get it in. So at this point, we are going to temporarily remove this needle. We're not going to actually give any injections through it, but I'm going to save it for labeling purposes. And we are going to take our medication and uncap. We are going to insert it into our flush. We will fill it up as necessary. So now that we've put in our 2 mLs of medication, I'm going to one-handed recap this needle, and we will discard. And now we'll make sure we have all the air out of this one before we recap. Alright. So now we'll recap this needle, and we're going to prepare our label. So now we have 5 mLs of medication. Well, it's 2 mLs of medication diluted in 3 milliliters of saline. So we will label that. So we have 5 milligrams
I'm going to go ahead and dilute it before I do my second.
diluted 3 mLs. Normal saline. So we are going to take our label, place it on our medication. Now that that's labeled, we're going to put up our medication before we enter the patient's room. We'll take it with us to do our 3rd check at the bedside. So I will leave this out. I'm going to go ahead and put the order up in the med cart. That's away. Gather any extra supplies that we need to get it ready. So we got our flushes, we got our stuff for our blood draw. We have a new male head adapter, and we're going to lock our med cart before we enter patient's room. So now that the med cart is locked, we're going to put the glove in our, put the key in our pocket. We are going to discard those gloves. We're going to perform hand hygiene. And now we're gonna make sure we have all of our supplies gathered. I believe we do. At this point, we're ready to enter the patient's room. So we're gonna knock. I'm gonna introduce ourselves. Hi, my name is Jared. I'm gonna be your nurse today. I'm gonna be taking some blood from you and giving you your routine. Can you tell me your name and date of birth? Okay, do you have any allergies that you are aware of? And can I see your wristband? So I'm going to verify the patient, 110981, Valerie Jones. Yes, no known allergies, that adds up with the MAR. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and do some hand hygiene. Raise the bed to a level that's comfortable for you, for good body mechanics. We're going to go ahead and inspect our site. We're going to make sure everything's clamped off, which it is. So at this point, we did our hand hygiene. We're going to make sure we have our alcohol swabs ready to clean our port before we give any type of medication or flush or go on that. So we visually inspected the area. Now we're going to flush it and check patency. So we've done hand hygiene with clean gloves. So we're gonna start taking our flush. We're gonna go ahead and time that, make sure it's good to go. So we're gonna start with our alcohol swab. We have our prime flush ready to go. We're gonna take the port that we are going to use. Would you use that one? It shouldn't matter. So we're gonna go ahead and clean that and get it ready. So that's clean. It can be flushed with, or you can push meds through it. So we're gonna start with a 10 milliliter flush. Now we're gonna unclamp. We will slightly draw back, check the patency. We have blood return. So now we're going to go ahead and flush with the full 10 cc's.
So then I'm going to delete the medication.
Are we actually flushing? Okay. So after we flush, we're going to discard. Where did the trash? And we will reclamp our tubing. And now we are going to get ready to waste 10 of blood before we draw off our 3.5 for our labs. And we're going to ensure with the labs that we label date and time the tubing before we send it off. So we have our syringe ready for waste. So before we do anything, we're going to reclaim the port. And we've already flushed, so it's good to go. It is patent, but it's important to waste before you draw your blood for lab. So we've cleaned the port. We're going to make sure we don't touch the tip. So we are going to go ahead and connect our syringe, unclamp arm. Now we are ready to draw our 10 cc's of waste, or milliliters of waste. So we have our 10 of waste. We're going to go ahead and put this in the biohazard container, right over here. So we put it in there. It is in the biohazard, and we would clamp our tubing. Now we are going to get ready to draw what we need for our labs, which we need 3.5 milliliters of blood for our tube. So we are going to open another syringe. I'm going to go ahead and reclean my port since it's been down and touched the gown. Let it air dry, and we're going to go ahead and connect our syringe, unclamp the line. Now we're going to draw 3.5 milliliters of blood. So we have 3.5. So we're going to go ahead and clamp that off. We are going to disconnect. We are going to get our bath container ready to put the blood in the vial. So we're going to go ahead and screw this on. And now we're not going to push anything through here. We're going to let gravity do the work. These are expired, so it may not actually work for its purpose, but it'll work for the most part. So we get our proper dosage, and we're going to take this off, put this in the biohazard container straight away. We put it in the biohazard waste. We make sure this is labeled, date, time, initial, before we send it to lab. And that would be sent to lab. You could either send it straight away, or you could wait till you're finished with what you're doing and send it to lab. So, ensure that's clamped. It is clamped. As far as some of our leaks here. And at this point, we're ready to change the head of our catheter. So we will get another one ready. And make sure it is clamped before you change. So you're going to take off the old tip. That tip right there is sterile, so we want to make sure we don't touch it.
I like how that needle came out.
That's a cap, isn't it? So we're going to remove the cap. Both ends are sterile. And we're going to connect our new adapter, which is put on there. So at the start of that, we're going to unclamp, and at this point we will flush with 20 milliliters of saline. And all of these flushes were primed beforehand, but if they had any air or anything, we would ensure that we got them ready to go. So then we're gonna clamp that off. As far as that flush, we can get our next one out. This tip is still clean. It has not come into contact with anything unsterile. So make sure there's no air bubbles. And we're gonna go ahead with our next 10. Unclamp.
Okay, so I'm gonna put the card
And
I'm gonna wash my hands and then unlock it. I'm gonna get out my order and my bar, my medication. I'm gonna make sure that my order is verified by physician, and I'm gonna compare it to my bar and make sure that it matches. And it does. I'm looking at the patient's name, diagnosis, date of birth, physician, quantity, and it is verified.
so we have given that flush, we will clamp,
I'm gonna go ahead and do my first,
and we're on to our medication. And before we give this, we're gonna make sure that we've done our third check. So while we're in the room, it's not expired, it's for the right patient. We have the right dosage. We have 5 milligrams of pyridine. Dose is IV, it's PRN, and it's given now. It's for Valerie Jones. So we've done our third check. So we're about ready to give that.
And I'm looking at,
We're going to take another alcohol swab.
consultations, interactions, the route.
We're going to clean the port.
And if it's compatible, and if I need to dilute it or not in the rate of administration. So we've got 5 milligrams per 10 mL. It says
Now we're
dilute
gonna take off
concentration
the
of 10
needle,
milligrams per
and we will
1
not need
ml.
this anymore.
So
It's gonna go straight into the sharps
to
container.
make it 3 mLs.
I'm gonna set this to the side so we can make sure it goes in the sharps
And
container,
it says inject slowly.
but it would be in the
so,
sharps container straight away. So now
this center, we took 25
we're going to put this on,
So we're gonna give
and this
over
is the
1 minute.
medication that we're going to give over 5 minutes. So we have the 5 milliliters here. It's diluted with 3 of saline. So we're gonna push that over 5 minutes. I've got my watch with my sweeping hand, so we're going to give it. And before we give any medication, we will unclamp it,
And the top.
and we will start our time now. So a minute passes,
Syringe and,
give a milliliter.
I'm gonna draw my medication
Minute
first. I'm gonna draw
passes,
2
give
mLs.
another milliliter. Minute passes, give another minute passes,
Take the needle off.
and the last minute. So we can push that over 5 minutes. And now we will clamp. We will get rid of this. Now that we've given everything, all that's left for us to do for this patient is to flush with 10 milliliters of saline. So if this had any air in it, we go ahead and calm it. We've already done that. So I'm gonna clean our head one more time.
I'm gonna one hand recap.
Ensure there is no air. Connect, and before we flush, we will unclamp our tubing. We are going to flush with 10 milliliters of water.
So then I'm gonna draw out my saline, and it is compatible.
All right, once that's been given, we are going to go ahead and clamp.
And I'm gonna draw out
The tubing.
1 milliliter of this.
Take that off. Restart. Make sure everything's been put where it needs to be. We're going to cover our patient back up. Ask them if they need anything. Make sure they're got good privacy. We're going to put their bed down. If we still have that lab to send off, we make sure it was dated, labeled, timed, initialed, all that good stuff. If they don't need anything, we'll make sure the call light's within reach. Do anything for patient safety. At this point, we're going to take off our gloves. We'll do hand hygiene, and we'll go document. Do we have to clean twice?
And so now I'm gonna do one-handed
And
recap.
I would go back and make sure everything's in med card.
Make sure there's no air bubbles or anything. Alright, I've got my little nail. So now I'm gonna combine the two.